The Gaza Strip is once again embroiled in a deadly cycle of violence. After a brief period of relative calm, fighting between Israel and Palestinian militants escalated sharply. The latest eruption was triggered by clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in Jerusalem, a site holy to both Muslims and Jews. Tensions were already running high during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, and the clashes at the mosque proved to be the tipping point. Israel responded with airstrikes on Gaza, targeting what it said were Hamas military installations. Palestinian militants retaliated with rocket fire into Israel. The exchange of fire marked a dangerous escalation, raising fears of a wider conflict. The international community watched with growing concern as the situation rapidly deteriorated. The violence has had a devastating impact on the civilian population in Gaza. The densely populated enclave is home to over 2 million Palestinians, many of whom live in poverty. The Israeli airstrikes have caused widespread damage to infrastructure, including homes, hospitals, and schools. The Palestinian Health Ministry has reported a rising number of casualties, including women and children. The international community has called for an immediate ceasefire, but so far, these calls have gone unheeded. The UN Security Council has been unable to agree on a joint statement due to opposition from the United States, Israel's closest ally. As the violence continues, the humanitarian situation in Gaza is becoming increasingly dire. After days of relentless airstrikes, Israel launched a ground offensive into the Gaza Strip. Columns of Israeli tanks and troops moved into the northern and eastern areas of the enclave, marking a significant escalation of the conflict. The Israeli military said the ground operation was aimed at destroying Hamas tunnels and rocket launchers. The ground invasion followed a 72-hour period of intense bombardment by Israeli forces. During this period, nearly 600 Palestinians were killed and thousands more were injured. The Israeli military claims that its targets were limited to Hamas military infrastructure, but Palestinian officials say that many civilians, including women and children, were among the dead. The Israeli military also claimed to have retaken the Netzarim corridor, a strategic strip of land that runs along the Mediterranean coast. The corridor was evacuated by Israel in 2005 as part of its disengagement from Gaza. The Israeli military said it would establish a security zone in the area to prevent Palestinian militants from launching rockets into Israel. The ground offensive has drawn international condemnation, with many countries and organizations calling for an immediate ceasefire. However, Israel has vowed to continue its operation until it achieves its objectives. The situation in Gaza remains extremely volatile, and the humanitarian crisis is worsening by the hour. As the Israeli ground offensive in Gaza intensifies, so too does the mounting death toll of innocent civilians. Among the victims are a 1-year-old child and their pregnant mother, killed in an Israeli bombing that reduced their home to rubble. Their deaths, like so many others, highlight the indiscriminate nature of this conflict and the heavy price paid by ordinary Palestinians. In another tragic incident, a Bulgarian UN aid worker was killed in an Israeli military strike on a UN guest house in Deir el-Balah. The guest house, clearly marked as a UN facility, was providing shelter to displaced Palestinians who had fled their homes due to the fighting. The attack on a clearly marked humanitarian facility is a clear violation of international law and has drawn widespread condemnation. Hospitals in Gaza, already overwhelmed by the influx of casualties, are struggling to cope with the rising number of dead and wounded. Medical supplies are running dangerously low, and the constant power outages are hampering efforts to treat the injured. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is reaching a breaking point, with many fearing a full-blown humanitarian catastrophe. The international community has called for an independent investigation into the civilian casualties in Gaza, but Israel has so far rejected these calls. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has warned that Israel's actions in Gaza may amount to war crimes and has called for those responsible to be held accountable. In a surprising turn of events, missiles launched from Yemen, claimed by the Houthi group, targeted Israel. The missiles fired from Houthi-controlled territory in Yemen targeted Ben Gurion Airport, Israel's main international airport, causing panic and disrupting air traffic. This attack marks the second time that Houthi rebels have targeted Israel during the current conflict. The Houthi group, which has been locked in a bloody civil war with a Saudi-led coalition since 2014, is aligned with Iran, Israel's arch-enemy. The Houthis have repeatedly condemned Israel's actions in Gaza and have vowed to support the Palestinians. While the Houthis have limited military capabilities compared to Israel, their missile attacks demonstrate their willingness to engage in the conflict and escalate tensions further. This latest attack from Yemen adds a new layer of complexity to the already volatile situation in the Middle East. It highlights the regional dimensions of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the potential for it to draw in other actors. The involvement of the Houthis also underscores the growing influence of Iran in the region and its willingness to challenge Israel indirectly through its proxies. Israel has vowed to retaliate against the Houthis for the missile attacks. The Israeli military said it holds the Houthi group fully responsible for the attacks and will not hesitate to act to defend its citizens. The possibility of Israeli strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen raises concerns about a wider regional conflagration. In this section, we'll explore how water has become a weapon in the ongoing conflict. Access to clean water is a basic human right, yet it has been manipulated and controlled as a tool of power. This struggle over water resources has profound impacts on daily life and survival. We'll delve into the strategies employed and the consequences faced by those affected. Stay with us as we uncover this critical issue. Allegations of ethnic cleansing have emerged, raising serious concerns among international observers. Reports suggest that forced evictions and demolitions are displacing communities at an alarming rate. The situation is dire, and many are calling for immediate action to prevent further human rights violations. The policies and decisions made during the Trump administration continue to cast a long shadow over the current conflict. Critics argue that the recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital and the subsequent relocation of the U.S. Embassy have exacerbated tensions. The ramifications of these actions are still being felt today, complicating efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution. Accusations are flying that external actors are fueling the fire of this ongoing conflict. Some claim that regional powers are providing financial and military support to various factions, further destabilizing the area. The involvement of these external players is making an already complex situation even more volatile. The outlook for peace appears increasingly bleak. Despite numerous attempts at negotiation, a lasting resolution seems out of reach. The cycle of violence and retaliation shows no signs of abating, leaving many to wonder if peace will ever be attainable. The international community remains hopeful, but the path to peace is fraught with challenges.